and then hope that no one actually notices that we have an actual conversation, and then we stop our actual conversation, and then we're like, do we want to start the stream now? And then we're like, yeah, sure, go on then. And we have to sort of pretend we were having a conversation like this in the first place. Hello, everyone. How are we all doing? Welcome to the channel. I figured I'd do a live stream with Evie today, who is, according to herself, significantly blonder than usual. How are you doing today?
Ever so well, now that I've realised how headphones function again. Yeah, all good. How are you?
All good. I'll say okay. A worky thing happened that I will have to tell you off stream because I am absolutely not allowed to discuss it. But a work thing happened is the way that I'm going to put that. But yeah, we are at the back end of the international break now. I think the final internationals were played yesterday, maybe? I'm not 100% sure because I'll be honest, could not care less about international football.
No.
And yeah, it means that we're back to club football, which means that we are back to this petrifying roller coaster ride that we like to call Leeds United. 8 matches left. Before we have this conversation, before we do this little therapy session that we like to call being Leeds fans, how are we feeling before the 8 matches? And how do we think we'll be feeling in a few days' time?
Oh, God, genuinely, my feeling for the next 7 games depends on what we do on Saturday. Like, genuinely, if we win it comfortably, even if we just scrape the win, no matter how we win, as long as we get the 3 points, I will be confident. I'm not saying cocky because I never get to a level of like arrogance. You know, I know a lot of Leeds fans, content creators, you know, whoever like being kind of like quite bullish about things, and that's absolutely fine. In fact, I admire that because that's not me, but I do admire people who can, you know, stick their neck on the line and say this is what's going to happen kind of thing. But I think if we can get the 3 points on Saturday, we are giving ourselves not only the most obvious best chance that we have, but in terms of confidence and in terms of the fear that we all have about this March international break from obviously last season, I think it will be a happy atmosphere because it has the potential to turn a little bit toxic if we don't get 3 points on Saturday against a team that have very little to play for.
Yeah. And you can confirm, because I don't know if you've been keeping up with the conversations in that chat, but you can confirm that dependent on the result of this match depends on a fairly big announcement, because everyone in that chat is aware that if things don't go the right direction, things are going to get a little bit not fun, and things are going to be on the spookier side, and it's going to get a little bit not good. But we did have a little bit of news last night that I made a very, very quick video on about Ethan Ampadu, who everyone thought he might be gone for the season. Turns out, might not be gone for the season. Might be around for maybe right after the international break. I don't know. It seemed to me like he potentially turned down training with the Wales squad to stay at Thorpe Arch and keep doing his rehab here. That's got to be a boost, right?
Yeah. I think as well with him having, obviously he was our captain at parts last season, but with him actually being the captain this season, and with obviously him not being physically able to play for Wales, I would hope that he would choose, well, if I can't represent my country and be any use, you know, let's stay at Thorpe Arch. Let's get over the line, because even on a personal level, surely he wants to be a Premier League player. You know, surely he wants to do that. You know, he doesn't have, I don't believe he has a promotion on his CV, but obviously he does have 3 relegations.
He's got a lot of relegations, yeah.
Yeah, so like I would love for him, his like personal journey, I would love for him to have a promotion on that, and as captain as well. I think that that's something, you know, hopefully he'll stay at Leeds for a long time and grow with us. But even if he moved on in a few years' time, that looks amazing on your CV to say, I captained Leeds United back to the Premier League. You know, it's regardless of what anybody says about Liam Cooper, he had that on his, resume of the fact of, he took his, boyhood club back to the Premier League. And I would love that for Ethan Ampadu, who has a far higher ceiling than Liam Cooper ever did. So yeah, I think him coming back, the options that it gives us both in the midfield and at centre back. I know we all prefer him in the midfield, but it does give us an option. And that's, excuse me.
Not quite as much as... Oh, I think you broke up a little bit for a moment there. Sorry, my internet's being a bit janky, so I can only half keep track of what you're doing at any one time. Okay. So it's very difficult. Go on.
Oh, great. Sorry. We've got two fantastic lots of internet.
Going well. It's going well.
Yeah, like I think that if he is back, it just gives us those options. And obviously with the Willy news, depending on where he comes in terms of, oh God, that was a really bad choice of words. Oh God. Oh, again, I'm blaming the blonde hair for not seeing that sentence.
All about the Willy news, yeah.
Yeah, so
so just remind me, when is the Willy coming? Just to...
I don't know. It's hard to say.
Why does this always happen? Why are we like this? I don't...
We're immature.
I think I might be the outlier on this one, because I never really mind having Ethan Ampadu at centre-back. A lot of people say that...
No, a lot of our good runs have actually come when he has been in the back line. But I would love to see the relationship between him and Tanaka, and also him and Rothwell, be able to kind of be utilised, just because as well, I think we've given up a lot of silly goals, even the goals, that in the end were relatively meaningless between Sunderland and Sheffield. We still hadn't conceded. We'd conceded 4 goals since Hull up until that Sunderland game. So, had we not? No, surely we'd conceded a goal. Had we not conceded a goal since Hull? No,
we went on a long clean sheet run, but I can't quite remember. I'll have to have a quick look.
But either way, if you've got a bit of rough housing, which Ampadu can do, we don't have a lot of players other than, I would say, probably like Dan James is a bit of a shit house at times. He knows how to wind people up, but he's too fast for them to actually retaliate and get back at him at the same time. So, and he's not like Willy Gnonto in the fact of he doesn't retaliate and go all immature type of thing. But we miss that kind of that somebody who will speak to the ref as well, like the Dan James penalty decision. If Ampadu's on the pitch, there's an argument to say that at least gets looked at. Obviously I know there's no VAR, but it at least gives the referee something to think about. And we know that referees can change their mind 15, 20 seconds after the event, because we've seen it go against us. But I do think that if you put Ampadu in the midfield in those games, the ball isn't allowed to get to the back line because he's already made those challenges. So I think I would still rather have him in the midfield, because it allows us to break up the play further up the pitch rather than near our goal, because I just don't want to test Meslier in the slightest.
I think as well, he's really good with the organisational stuff. So like the 2 goals that we conceded against QPR were the first one where Aronson is just faffing about a bit, and it's like, I feel like if Ampadu's on the pitch, he's giving him a bit of a bollocking and just say, get it that way, and then we don't have to think about it for a minute. And then
where did you lie with that? Where did you lie? Just because I don't think I've spoken to you about it.
I think I'm in a place of, he could have done better with it, but at the same time, that's the kind of mistake that just happens sometimes. And if you're trying to play out from the back, occasionally you're going to lose the ball towards the back. And to me, it didn't feel like, which a lot of people are just like, he's an idiot, he shouldn't have done that. I don't think it's a case of him being stupid. I think it's a case of him being a bit fatigued and tired and him not quite clicking with it right now. So there's like this 2 weeks will have done him absolute wonders, and I have a feeling he's going to have a very, very good match against Swansea. But it's just getting there that is the sort of question for me, because I think he will absolutely be picked. I didn't think he'd be dropped in the slightest. But
see, I genuinely did. I think if Willy Gnonto hadn't have got potentially injured, obviously we don't know to the extent as to what it is, but I genuinely think for Farke to come out and to say that he's given him something to think about, and to say that he has, you know, a decision to make when it comes to Willy, that's more than he's ever said the whole season. He's said we can look at other things, but he's never specifically actually said, yes, that player has played there and therefore he's done a good job. Because we have seen other players in cup games do a job, but he's never actually mentioned them directly after a game.
He's said similar-ish, more in the other direction about the Meslier thing, and he stuck with him. Is one of the reasons that I'm thinking that he keeps rolling with it.
But we don't have another option because you're not going to put Darlow in.
Yeah, that's a
for as much as a lot of us, including myself, said, just give him a go, give him a chance. What has he got to lose? Because we're already getting balls in the back of the net anyway. So what have we got to lose by putting another calamity keeper in there instead? You know, let's have a little change, vary it up a little bit. But Aronson, after Gnonto playing in that role, there's no argument anymore to say that he couldn't play in that role, because he did, and arguably he came on and changed the game. You know, it was one of his best performances in a long time for us.
Yeah. I think the one worry I'd have with Gnonto in the 10 is, does he do the pressing that Aronson will? Because otherwise it was like when people were saying we need to sign Emi Buendia. And when I was having those conversations with people, I was like, I really don't think that works, because then you got Piru, who doesn't really press, and then Buendia, or in this case Gnonto, who doesn't do the pressing quite as effectively. So you're in a spot with two central players who won't really press, which means that you're relying on your wingers a bit more. So they squeeze in, but that opens up the fullbacks.
Yeah.
So I think there's off-ball stuff as well as on-ball stuff to think about with that. But
yeah,
no,
I don't disagree. It would just be, I do think that similar with the whole when we played Darlow for the cup game, it came at the right time because, excuse me if you can hear my dogs barking, it came at the right time because he was going to have Darlow play in that game anyway. And this has come at the right time for Aronson in the fact of he's had the rest now, because he didn't get called up to play for America, which I'm very grateful, because they didn't have a fantastic time. And I don't know whether you saw the Wales game last night. The last 10 minutes of that game were absolutely insane.
You might have to tell me about that, because I didn't get to see any
so
of it.
It was all Wales, but it was quite similar to Leeds games in terms of all possession, but very little actual being able to convert chances. So it ended up 0-0 until the 80. What was it? No, it was I think it was like the 90th minute. It was 0-0, and then North Macedonia got a goal, and it was a calamity pass from one of, was it Ben Davis? It wasn't Rodon, even though the camera panned straight away to Rodon, and I was like, oh my god, is that a terrible pass back from Rodon to Darlow? And this is just a Leeds calamity waiting. And then they got a goal back, so it ended 1-1 in literally a minute and a half over the added time. So it was quite controversial, really. But yeah, it was absolutely insane game. But it means that, again, that 1-1 a bit like the game that we ended with the QPR one. We went from a deficit to drawing, so it's a far better result than going from winning to drawing in the last minute of a game. And I think that those Wales lads will come back with a real positive. You know, they've got a win and a draw, which, you know, for Wales is a very good result kind of thing. And they were 3 minutes away from having a loss as well. So, you know, that I would have hated, absolutely hated, because that really would have started off the Saturday game in a really desperate position. You know, no Willy Gnonto. You don't know if Firpo's going to come back okay, because, you know, I know he didn't play the first game, but he played the second, you know, friendly against the same team. And then obviously Tanaka is back with, so far, as we think, no injuries. You know, there's a lot of people coming back, and we don't know fully what their status is yet. And the same with, you know, Solomon played. Like, I know he played 89 minutes of the first game, but I don't know if did they have a second game?
They did, and I know they scored 2. I think it was a 4-2 loss. I'll have a quick look. But I'm assuming that he also played because he's their more important player. He didn't score. Who did score, however, is the Turgaman guy that we were linked to in January. That's quite fun. But yeah, we're in a scary spot where it feels like we're a little bit reliant on other things being good for us at the moment. So relying a little bit on, for example, international form for everyone to come back with a bit of a good vibe to them.
Yeah.
Or making sure that the players that stayed here are actually like coming back from injuries properly. I'll be honest, I've given up on Bamford coming back this season. There was a point around Christmas where I was trying to like resurrect the meme of he will come back and it'll be great. But then again, there is a whole thing about a Messiah rising at about Easter time, so you never know. So looking at the matches that we've got left, are we roughly agreed that it kind of depends on what happens against Swansea, depending on what goes on from there?
Yeah, I think if we come back and we're at it, and we can kind of put the pre-international like blip in the rearview mirror, then I am fully confident. You know, again, not cocky, but I'm fully confident, because I think if the lads can come back, put out a good performance, put out a good win, you know what, even if it's a bloody Sheffield United performance and we just scrape a win, I don't care. I'm at that point in the season and things have got too close now where I genuinely don't care. I just want, and I hold the right to completely go back on this and say, oh my God, that is like, you know, I want pretty football and 3 points. So I withhold the right to say I want both. But right now, I just want 3 points every time. That's all I care about, even if it's 90th minute, last minute, like, you know, goals kind of thing. Oh, Matt. Oh,
Matt knows his stuff. Matt knows his stuff.
You
there
two
we
are
go.
like this.
Right. Something that's kind of bugging me at points, okay, is the amount of times that I'll like say this, and I'm very clearly joking, and I've said many a time, I'm like, it's fine, he's not going to come back and do it, whatever, we'll go with what we've got. And the amount of people in various places that are just like, yeah, Joe, you're still standing by him, and it's like, no, I'm not. I haven't been for the last 6 months. Stop it. It's fine.
It's called satire, everyone. It's called.
Yeah,
satire.
I've hit the point of no return though with some people, so I'll keep committing to it. And on the subject of this, Dr. Cox, absolutely, our Lord and Savior. Hat trick against, what's the last match of the season? Plymouth, to bring us up. That'll do it.
Yeah, well, did you hear the square ball? Like, Dan on the square ball said about how it would be. He kind of wants Bamford to get the goal that sends us up, like, just because, you know, if we get up, there's an argument to say that we buy him out of his contract, kind of thing. To just say, let's not have him as our number 9. Like, we need to move on, regardless of what he did 4 years ago. That's when he did it. You know, he hasn't scored a goal in over a year. He hasn't been match fit for months. at this, if you named him Liam Cooper or Luke Ayling, people would be saying get him out, and they are saying get him out, but we don't have the option. Whereas if we get promoted, we've got the option to just say, look, we've got the money. We didn't spend anything in January. Let's send him on his way, wish him luck, got nothing against him on a personal level, and I respect him for what he did during those seasons where he was good, but he hasn't been consistently good because of multiple reasons: injury, form, getting back to fitness, potentially even commitment as well. If you know that you're going to get paid the same amount, you know that you're on the wrong side of 30 when it comes to your footballing career, because there's nothing bad about being on the wrong side of 30.
I was going to say you're a bold person to put that set of words together.
I can say that because I'm 32.
Okay.
So, I would just, if we get promoted, I think he goes, we move on, everybody's very happy, and then we can go to romanticizing him, which is what we do with a lot of players once they leave, is we romanticize them. And I would like that for him. I would like us to be able to romanticize, to remember the first season we got back in the Premier League and he was the second top English goal scorer in the Premier League. He was only behind Harry Kane. It's a very good position to be in, and I want that for him. But if he ever plays football again, and there's an argument to say if he carries on with his injury record, he might have very little football left to play in his career. But he's well educated, so I'm not concerned about his personal career, because he'll be fine afterwards. He will be sorted. He's very well educated, very well spoken as well. There's lots of doors for him after. There's other footballers where I think, God, what the hell are you going to do after football? Because you don't have anything there's just a monkey on a unicycle clapping cymbals going around up there kind of thing. So, yeah.
The first thing that came to mind when you were saying that was, Jesus, I wonder what Alioski does once he retires.
All he does is play international football because he doesn't have a club.
Has he still not found one?
No, again, it was on Square Ball the other day. They were looking it up.
I've not had a chance to listen to Square Ball stuff for the past few weeks. Interestingly, the last time I did listen to the Square Ball, they were talking about both the Sidemen charity match and the Me charity match. And I remember Michael Norman saying, he mentioned us, and that surprised me because it was the first I was hearing of it, and it was like, Michael, I sent you a DM 2 months ago. Please.
He doesn't have any hair, though, to keep the thoughts.
He doesn't hold the ideas,
yeah.
And that's why there's so many ideas in your head all the time, because there's just
absolutely
so much hair.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
But the issue is, being lighter hair, it acts like a sieve now. So all the heavy thoughts get out, and it's all the light, airy things that stay in. I'm gonna hop through a few comments now. Sorry, I've not looked at various comments and stuff like that. I am all over the shop today. We'll start with Luke, who says we only need 4 points from 4 away games, and keep in mind, despite our away form, we still average 1.5 points per game away. Is away form going to be the problem?
No, I don't think so, because I actually think it depends where Bristol are by the time we play them. Because, yes, we have a good record against them, but they might have something to play for if they are still within touching distance of the playoffs. And you can never underestimate when a team has anything to play for, whether it's promotion, whether it's playoffs, whether it's relegation, or whether it's just a personal hatred of a club. Look at Millwall in the cup and then look at their form in the league afterwards. So I genuinely would love to do a bit of research into clubs playing Leeds United, and when they get a result, or whether it's a draw, because a lot of clubs think a draw is like a brilliant result against Leeds United, and see what their next few games, what they're rolling 4 games after that match are. And because so many of them like put everything into playing us and then go like that for the next few before they then level out again. And it was a pattern in the Premier League, and it's even more of a pattern in the Championship when, you know, we are the big fish in the small pond. So I think if, you know, obviously we've got Swansea. Sometimes when you've got there's football is like filled with such cliches, because as well, when you've got nothing to play for, you play with freedom. So then how many times have we seen relegated teams all of a sudden start playing amazing football because they don't have that weight of relegation on their shoulders anymore? It's already been decided. All the same, when you know that you're mathematically safe, how many times have you seen people either play amazing football or just fall off a cliff because they know that they can't get relegated? So they're kind of like ticked off, they're done. So you don't know where a team is going to go when they've got nothing to play for. They're going to be, you know, on the beach, or are they going to be like bloody prime Barcelona, but Championship equivalent? We can't rest on our laurels, and that's what I think we did in the Portsmouth game, potentially the West Brom game, and definitely the QPR game. But I do also think that there were a few, you know, we don't win in London. We haven't come back from a 2-0 deficit to get anything since, was it the 70s or something like that?
No.
I'm sure there was a stat that, you know, we haven't come back and won from being 2-0 down, or come back and not lost, for like 40 years. So, you know, we don't do well in London. And that's regardless. That's with a completely different team, completely different manager, completely different ownership. We just don't do well. But I don't want us to get cocky. And I think there's been a few showings of that over the last few games, because I think some people, players, you know, whoever, are believing the hype that Leeds United are the best team in the Championship. You know, it's between who's going to go up with Leeds United is the question, you know, not are Leeds going to get promoted. And well, actually, we're on the same points as Sheffield. Burnley are only 2 points behind us. You know, we could end this game weekend in third.
Oh, you didn't need to say that.
Well, that's what I mean. If we don't, and if we stay top, then I'm really confident that we won't drop out of the top two for the rest of the season. Like, I am really confident. But for me, that's how important this game is. I know everybody says, oh, it's like 8 cup finals, but I think it's how we start. And I think that momentum will take us into the rest of. Whereas if we have to stop, regain composure, and go again, that's far more difficult when other teams will then have that momentum that we lost. So that's how important I think this game is on Saturday. And in theory, we should win it, but we have to play it, you know, because in theory we should bloody win every game, because we are statistically and actually the best team in the league. So we, by our own standards, should beat every single team. But football isn't played on paper. If it was, we'd have gone up last season.
Oh, she's hitting the cliches again. Running through a couple more of the comments. Dave says that you need to watch it with your baldism. There was another one. I absolutely will not fight you because you've got more hair than me, and that keeps all the thoughts in. So I don't think that I'd win that because you just outthink me. Danny thinks it's coming down to...
Is that you admitting that Baby Zebra is more intelligent than you?
Sure, why not? Yeah. I don't know if it goes down to the last game of the season, and I say this because I'm quite desperately hoping it doesn't, because I'm trying to get tickets for Preston and Bristol and Stoke. But what are you thinking on that?
You could really argue that Danny's spot on there with that, because we went from having a 7-point gap between us and Burnley to a 2-point gap in 3 games. So there is still so much championship kind of games to go. The only good factor is we have to stay top until the Sheffield game in terms of Sheffield versus Burnley, because as long as we are in that top 2 by that point, then neither one of them, they both can't take. As long as there's a 2-point gap between us and one of them, then they can't overtake us and go ahead. So that game is still
need, really.
I think I would be far more anxious if they didn't have to play each other. That is what's keeping me relatively positive, is the fact that they both can lose points, or one of them will lose all 3.
Very good call. 1 second, I'm just seeing when our fixtures are and when their fixtures are, because that's not great, is it? We play before that match, and it would have been really nice if that one was a lunchtime kickoff. So we could have played against Stoke, had whatever our result was, and then do it based on that. But that's not the case, and it looks like we're all going to have to keep that anxiety going throughout the rest of the evening and into the night, which is fan-dabby-dozy.
Yay!
We love it. Anxiety is what we do here. I know you got Preston. I was trying to be mysterious and build some tension. I know you got the Preston tickets. It's fine. Joe, don't be throwing Evie under the bus about baldism. It was aimed at you both. Excuse me. I think bald people are great as long as they reply to my DMs and remember that I'm organising a charity match. Michael. Can't be mad. I'm going on his charity walk. When I say it comes down to the last game, I mean for first or second. I've predicted we finish second from the start of the season. I think we're probably all right for top. Right? I'm not too mad at that.
No, I mean, I'd be disappointed, obviously. I'd be really, really heartbroken if it was playoffs. But I would be disappointed if we didn't get first, just because we've been the most attractive team this season. We've been the most on, like, statistically by far. You know, if we had potentially a better goalkeeper, we would be outdoing Burnley and outdoing Sheffield when it comes to the clean sheets, the goals conceded, things like that. But I would be disappointed if we don't win. It can be a last day of the season, and that's all we've got to play for. You know, we're promoted, and then I would be all right with that game, because regardless, we're promoted, and that's the most important thing. Would I take having, like, being second now, or it is all to play for on the last game of the season and we're all on the same points, and whoever, like, wins, and we could go up on goal difference? Like, my God, like, give me second place now, just so that my nerves, like, because I'm going to be in an airport watching it as well, on an airport bloody Wi-Fi, because I would have missed it completely, because we fly at like 3:00.
But
now,
shifted, didn't
obviously, they've shifted, because, you know, who doesn't want to go to Plymouth for a 12:30 kickoff? But yeah, so I'm going to have to watch that on some really crappy Wi-Fi. So I would prefer that we've only got the title to play for rather than actual promotion. And I do think that we have the team, we have a better complete team this year than we did do last year. We had better individuals, but I think that the ceiling of the collective is far higher this season than it was last season.
Oh, the ceiling of the collective. That's some really nice word. That's poetry.
I know,
Fair
right?
play. Well done. Very nice. I believe so. I don't know if he is still alleged racist or just racist, but we can call him a cannibal. So, like, that's fine. The only saving grace is Burnley are a boring draw machine. They've gotten better recently, weirdly, which is
They've got goals in them now, which is, you know, I'm grateful that they didn't have earlier on in the season, because I genuinely think it would have been, I know there's only 2 points between us, but I genuinely think it would even have been even tighter if they'd have been able to score. I miss Burnley draw. I really do. It was more
fun for us. Yeah. It
Yeah,
was.
because that gap, even if we won sloppy, they would draw, so the gap still grew. Whereas now they're getting clean sheets and somehow scoring 3 goals.
It's like they've learned that you can actually do things at both ends of a football pitch, and you could not. That's fine. Like, what would also have been nice is James Trafford getting some minutes for England and somehow doing his ankle in for the next 6 weeks. That would have been spectacular.
Yeah, it really
But-
would.
But it wasn't. It wasn't to be. Anyway, I'm gonna, for a last chunk of stream, because we don't have too long to go, take us over to one of our favourite spots where you guys get to decide whatever we're talking about. Really, we're heading over to Questions Corner. So if you got anything, chuck it in the chat. Have you got a jingle in mind for Questions Corner, or are we going jingle?
Oh
free?
no, I just we go jingle free because nobody wants
jingle
to
free.
listen to me jingle, because I just jingle in my own little head.
Is that because it's quite empty up there, so it's just something rattling around? Is that what's? You're blonde now.
No, you can't say that, because you said that I had a lot of thoughts inside my head. It's just that they seep out. So actually, you've countered what your point was earlier on.
Yeah, but I don't even listen to what I'm saying when it comes out. I just sort of hope that the spaghetti ends up in one consistent strand that doesn't get caught up in knots.
And that's why we go for penne pasta, because then it doesn't, fall out of a sieve.
And it still can fall out of a sieve. And it's a colander.
Only if you're chucking it about. What do you do with your pasta?
What do you do with your head? Why is your head full of pasta? What's going on?
I'll tell you what, I'm pasta this conversation.
It's a good one. Now, this is a Fusili thing to talk about, so let's get to the first question of Questions Corner. From Danny, who's asked, have you dyed your hair? Is it getting lighter with old age?
I think we'll move on to the next question. Otherwise, Danny is going to get very well told off.
Okay. Acts of violence are sometimes allowed in this channel, so I'll give you a free pass on that one. What's your favourite biscuit?
Ooh, that really depends. I go through phases. I love a custard cream, like a proper traditional.
There was an argument on my stream a few weeks ago where, because I was saying that custard creams are great, and Kayla actively got out of bed, walked into the room, looked me in the eye and said, "It's not a bourbon though, is it?" And that sparked a bit of an argument in my chat.
I love it. Just mic drops and leaves.
But I am absolutely on team custard cream because they're just spectacular. It's
no, I prefer custard creams to bourbons. Bourbons are like my, when you get those selection packs of the biscuit packs, they're one of the last ones to have, and I love chocolate, but it's too powdery. It tastes fake, and nobody likes fake chocolate.
Yeah, for me, a bourbon is a custard cream that's trying too hard.
Yeah,
it's a custard cream that forgot its place, and it's come on, you're.
And also, you can a custard cream is fun because you can eat it in multiple different ways as well. You can dunk it in a cup of tea. You can have it so that you take the lid off and then eat the cream and then eat the bottom, or you can take the lid off and then eat the cream and the bottom at the same time, like a topless sandwich type of thing. But you see, you don't get this kind of humor with bourbons, do you?
It's in my nose. Ow!
Bubbles hurt when they go, and everything.
Yeah, a little bit. I feel like I've just snorted sherbet. Anyway, back to the questions. What's the full extent of the injury list? Can Willy come and play? No, not touching that one. That can go. Nope.
You're not touching Willy.
No, I'm not touching Willy. We're good.
Definitely not on stream.
That's for the other streams. Am I going to have a pint when these get promoted? 1, beer tastes like wee, so no. 2, fruity ciders are all right. I don't get why like dudes have a thing about drinking drinks that don't taste nice.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just drink something fun.
Because
Drink
of
some.
manliness.
That's it. But I've got so much testosterone in me, so I mean, I've got no choice. So I might have to.
Yeah. If I see you walking around with a pint, I'm gonna just knock it out of your hand and say, "Don't go acting like that."
If you do, I will thank you.
I'll know that you've been kidnapped or something if like you're stood wandering around with like a sheepish look and a beer in your hand. I'll be like, oh my God, he's in danger.
Yeah, that would be my cry for help. Have you tried the chunky white Biscoff Kit Kat? Absolutely not. That sounds like it's doing far. Seems like it's putting way too much effort in.
I haven't had it, but I am tempted by it. I do like Kit Kat. I do like Biscoff. It's the white chunkiness that's. I like white chocolate as well. There's very few things that I don't like when it comes to chocolate, but I'm a bit weird. I'm funny with textures and tastes together. It's like pain au chocolat. I don't like. I love pastry. I love chocolate, but I can't have it together. It stresses me out. So yeah, it's one of my things that I don't think I could have.
It's like a confused croissant.
Exactly.
Baby Zebra thinks that this is one of the only times that she's agreed with you because you like a custard cream, and
Disagreed.
is now sad. Disagreed. Doesn't like a
Oh,
custard cream, which is just it's bad decision making, to be honest. Like,
I'm gonna
we're
bring
in
some
the right here.
creams in July. I'll
Go
sit
for it.
there eating custard creams next time.
Please don't do it down the mic. You're on
Obviously
commentary.
not.
Nothing like a nice hot Horlicks at night. There's
No.
many puns to be made there, but I ain't gonna touch them. Because as a kid, when going to the pub with Dad, his pals and girls always had a beer tush. I always wanted one. The Kit Kat thing, it's awesome. That's maybe. I'm increasingly tempted by this Kit Kat now. Love Leeds podcast when we talk about chocolate. Exactly. This is what you get on the Joe Blackburn channel. You might think, where's the staying on topic? Where's the tactical analysis? We did that for the first 15 minutes. Then we made a joke about Willies, and then things started sliding from there. And now here we are. And
I'm gonna make another sliding Willy joke, but we won't go there.
you just did.
Yeah, so chocolate.
So chocolate, yeah. But what I'm going to do is hop back to the questions corner for one more. 1 second. Only with custard. Going to hop back to questions corner for one more quick question, and then I think we'll call the stream there. There are 2 now, so I'll answer both of them. Tea or coffee? Are you one of those weirdos who doesn't like hot drinks?
I love tea. I love coffee. I do have decaf now, though, because I've found that it stresses me out a lot if I have too much caffeine. So, but obviously, it has to be Yorkshire tea. There is no other tea that is. You just can't have it. The occasional Twinings English breakfast tea if I'm pretending to be posh, but other than that, it's Yorkshire tea all the way.
I'm just a hot chocolate guy.
Like, and I love hot chocolate.
Yeah.
We've got a Sage like coffee machine that we won, so I'll often make myself a frothy kind of hot chocolate and things. So, yeah, it's what I do when we've got loads of milk. That I'm like, right, kids, it's hot chocolate time, and they're like, absolutely love it, and I'm like, no, I don't like wasting things, so I'm just like using all the milk up.
It's a good call, and the amount of calcium is brilliant. I'm going to get through the remainder of the chat. Anything else that goes in there, I'm not going to deal with, but we have been... I don't like leaving people without having dealt with things. Pablo moment against Swansea. I'm going to give it to Brendan, because imagine the redemption arc if he gets promoted again.
I'm going to give it to Dan James.
Oh, I mean, you would, to be fair. Yeah, that works. That works a bit too well. I like it. Will Farke cut the mustard in the Prem? Yes, no, or maybe you can explain afterwards if you wish. I will say no, because you don't cut mustard, you squirt it. Thoughts?
I think everybody treats him very harshly when it comes to the Premier League, because in theory he's got the worst record in the Premier League. I'm pretty sure that Van Nistelrooy is about to smash that record because he's just absolutely dreadful with Leicester. And I would argue that that Leicester team is actually better than the Norwich team that got relegated as well. So in theory, if you look at the quality of the players versus versus the money that was spent for Norwich, then Farke did a reasonable job. I'm not saying he did do a good job. I'm just saying, like, I think the criticism is very harsh because we can't protect Bielsa by saying that the board didn't spend the money for him and then crucify Farke when Norwich did the exact same thing to him twice. He got them promoted twice and then they fecked him over twice. So I'm not going to be sentimental though either, because I love Farke, but I'm not like in love with him like Bielsa. So there's a difference. Like, he hasn't got us there. I mean, if Farke, obviously we went straight up and we got ninth with Bielsa. If we went straight up and we, got European places, then, there's an argument to say that Farke is potentially a better manager. Is he a better human? I don't think there's anybody in the planet that's a better human than Bielsa, because he's just, the man is poetry. But I think Farke is a better manager than people say that he is, because of the fact that he had very little backing, and he actually lost some of his players as well. So not only did he get the money to spend, he also had players sold. So I think in this day and age, it's incredibly difficult to judge a manager if they have zero resources.
Yeah. Final two quick questions. If you lose the charity match, I want to see you do a pattern as a forfeit. It's not a question. You have made a big mistake to say this on the same evening where in about 10 minutes' time I'm going to be deciding the teams. So if you see me with the most stacked team you've ever seen, this is why. I'm playing it very careful. And the final question for the stream, are tickets going to be on sale for the charity game? You'll have to wait and see and find out. Let's hope for a good result on Saturday, is what I'm going to say on that one. But either way, hope you all enjoyed the stream. If you did, pop a like on it. That's always massively appreciated. Helps the channel out like big time. Big thank you to Evie, whose channel is linked in the title. That's the words I'm looking for. Got anything going on your channel at the moment?
I'm hoping to record a video either tonight or tomorrow that will go out before Saturday. I've had such a busy few weeks, but I'm doing a Leeds, the biggest club outside of the top 6, ?
Oh, I like it. And it's not the one that's been sitting in the StreamYard as a room with a title that I'm not going to say because I don't know if that's a video that's still coming. But it's just been sat there for like 3 months, and I'm like, is this a video that you're making, or have I accidentally made a room?
I think so. I think I did it, and then I think I've just created a new one because I forgot that that was my room that I created ages ago.
Oh, okay, fair enough. All good. Anyway, on that, I hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe to me, subscribe to Evie. You could even become a channel member if you fancy. All of the channel revenue is going towards the charity match until the charity match happens. But yeah, hope you enjoyed. I'll see you later. How long do we think until it actually ends?